All right, well, thank you, everyone. Right? Thank you, everyone, for attending. My name is Alex Oris,
I'm Karen Gedeon.
and we work at Cuyahoga Falls City Schools. I do tech integration.
I'm the middle school media specialist.
And so today we're presenting, add a little STEAM to your lessons. So just a little background. We, as a district, wanted to have more STEAM integrated into our classes. And so STEAM means a lot of different things to a lot of different people, and just Google STEAM and you'll find, tons of different viewpoints on it. So our task was kind of to take what we wanted STEAM to be in our district and try to present it in a way to staff so that they can start using it. The rollout was a little rough because administrators had kind of their idea and they kind of bypassed us to get to the staff, which meant they did a STEAM day and everybody did a STEAM lesson on that STEAM day. And so basically kids went class to class to class to class in 40 minutes doing 7 different STEAM activities, not the way we would have kind of presented it. So then when they did a round 2, they kind of invited us in more so we could really look at what STEAM would mean. So our overview, Karen, I think this is.
So this is what we're going to talk about today. We started talking about Cuyahoga Falls' view of STEAM, but we're going to further identify it and drill down a little bit farther so you know where we're coming from and what our objectives were. We're going to give you some example lessons. We have 4 example lessons that we're going to share that can be differentiated. The ideas can be taken to any grade level. Some of them are hands-on, some of them are digital, they're cross-curricular. We tried to get a broad range of things for people, so maybe you can pull a nugget from here or a nugget from there or take the whole lesson, it doesn't matter. And then we have some STEAM resources to share with you. But our goal is for you to leave with something that you can use, whether it be a lesson or an idea or whatever. And we also have a Padlet. So as you are thinking of things, or if you've done it in your own building or your own district and something worked or you have a question, please add it to the Padlet and we will talk about those close to the end of the session here.
Yeah, because we were more than willing to come and kind of share our story, but we definitely don't feel like we are the experts that should be leading STEAM on a Northeast Ohio level. So we want to actually have that dialogue and include you in the conversation because I'm sure there are great things you guys have to share as well.
And there's the bit.ly on the bottom corner, so you can go to this slideshow at any point in time and you can share that bit.ly with your staff.
And so it kind of gave you the overview, so STEAM was this, let's get more STEAM. That's what maybe a board initiative or a superintendent or our administrators, they wanted more STEAM in our lessons. And so what we really decided was, well, we need to identify what STEAM is going to be for us because, as I said, you can Google STEAM, thousands of different definitions, examples. And so we tried to whittle it down into something digestible. And so we said we want our students to have use what students learn in school to solve real world problems, whether they're big or small, local or global, or anything that students are passionate about through curiosity, innovation, and creativity. And really when we kind of wanted a visual to kind of look at some of our district goals and then add these pillars in. So one of our district goals is opportunities for all, whether it's the bottom of a signature, they always, Cuyahoga Falls, opportunities for all. And so with STEAM, we really wanted opportunities for all in these 3 main categories. And so when we talked to our teachers about it, it could be in one category, it could be in all 3, but exploration, inquiry, and experimentation, problem, project, and service-based learning, and then authentic collaboration. And with those things to kind of reimagine instruction. We don't have a STEM cohort, or we don't have a STEM class. We don't have a tech class. We try to integrate technology into everything. So we want to kind of do the same thing with STEAM, and we're sort of just starting down that way.
All right, so these are 4 tenets that we felt would be best for our students. You may like them, you may not like them, but in order for them to be impactful and make a difference for our kids, we wanted to make it connect to the real world. We wanted it to make cross-curricular connections. So they know that you're doing math in everyday life. So if you don't like math, I'm sorry, but it's gonna appear everywhere, whether you cook or sew or whatever. We wanna make sure that they understand it's okay to make a mistake because a mistake is not wrong. It's just a different way of learning. You just learned that something didn't work. So it is a way to learn. And you want to encourage the students to take charge. You want them to determine what they're going to do, figure out how they're going to do it, put them in little groups, let them brainstorm. That's how they're gonna make mistakes. That's how we all learn. That's how we want them to learn. And it's hard. It's hard to see them fail, but that's how they learn. That's how we all learn.
Yeah, and we figure we're not gonna have a lesson that has necessarily science, technology, engineering, art, and mathematics. Like, that's not what we're looking for. STEAM is more of that catch-all. And we figure if you can do a lot of this within a lesson in one way or another, whatever the topic is, you're gonna be connecting a lot of STEAM ideas. So we have 4 like kind of concrete examples that we've done and that we really like and think they reach a lot of different categories that we just kind of wanted to walk through, and then some, extra ideas at the end. So Karen's got the first one. Yep.
Okay, so the first one was mine, and if you know me, you'll know that I am the least mathematical person out of our 4 team members here. But I do like to do crafts, and I'm very hands-on. So my thought was, let's do something with math. Let's do something with shapes. So I went out and I fully admit, I stole this lesson and I meshed it together for something that would work from the geometry of building and engineering. So I meshed those together and I thought, what do I have? I have these little shapes. How can we make that into a STEM lesson about critical load? Now we're talking critical load for like middle school, high school, but there are variations for this. So the goal is that they're going to be able to identify and compare strengths of shapes as standalone and as group structures. The pillars, the Cuyahoga Falls pillars, are exploration, inquiry, and experimentation, authentic collaboration. Required materials, these are going to differ, but we're going to go over those in a minute. They're paper cutouts in this particular instance. And then the instruction is basically to explain to students what engineering is. Give them a background, give them an example of putting things together, that different shapes have different critical loads. What is a critical load? Why is it important? Anybody who lived through the snowstorms this winter should know how important critical load is. And then put them in pairs and basically walk them through. I have a box. I wonder what the critical load is on that. And then variations, you can change the supplies. You can restrict it to a certain size footprint. Younger kids can define the shapes. Older students can create designs which meet critical load volumes or surface areas. Older students can compare building materials. You can use different things such as blocks or magnetic tiles, and the scientific method can be brought in. And at the very end, there's resources for all that. So for me, what I did is we have, I don't know if you guys have an AccuCut system like this. This is what we have, and these are 3D models. There's a set of 4 or 5 of these in the set, and they're all shapes. This one happens to be the cube. So when you cut this out and you tape it together, it turns into this. The set also has a cone. Or that's not a cone, that's a can.
Cylinder.
It's a cylinder, yeah. And then a pyramid. So you can, for this example, you can ask the kids, what's the critical load on that? And is it more if you start putting more shapes together? Does that have a higher critical load kind of thing? But you can also ask your kids to figure out the volume, the what do you call the outside?
Surface area.
Surface. See,
right?
he's the math guy.
Well, the former math teacher in me says, even without the Cricut AccuCut system, just a plain piece of paper with scissors, what the 3-dimensional shapes are, create it and see which one has the biggest surface area or the largest volume, or whether it's a cylinder or a sphere, or I guess sphere would be hard to do with a piece of paper, but the pyramids, there's standards for, I think it's deconstructing and reconstructing 3-dimensional objects.
And then the other thing that I found in one of my maker spaces is we actually have the plastic tiles that you can link together to form different shapes. Those actually came out of a math program that we had somewhere in the building, and when one of the math teachers was getting rid of their manipulatives, I grabbed it. So I have no idea how old it is, but they connect together. There's what's called magnet tiles out there and this is a link to it on Amazon. I am not promoting Amazon. It was just an easy link. And you can use those. They all stick together to form different shapes and sizes. So this type of lesson with these manipulatives, which is what I was focusing on, is very open-ended for many different STEAM projects, for the littles, for the middles, and for the bigs that are taller than me right now. But that was the math lesson. Questions on that? All right.
Okay. So again, in our idea of doing different subjects, different styles, I'm not a science teacher, so I took a science spin, creating a virtual cell. So the idea here was students with an assignment or with given parameters, they would look for the parts of an animal or plant cell. They have some similarities and some differences. This came out of a need because a science teacher wanted like a little augmented reality cell that they could like look at and move around. And once, Google Expeditions AR died, we were really struggling for what other things are out there. And so the idea was, instead of finding one that was already created for them to look at and talk about or fill out a worksheet, it was to group up and actually create a virtual cell. So Tinkercad is a very easy to use, like computer aided design program with some drag and drops. You can easily create cells. Actually, let me show you the one that was created to give you kind of an idea of the endpoint. What's nice about Tinkercad 2 is with this little plus sign up here, I can add a collaborator in my group. So we can kind of take it together. We can talk about it. We can work on it. There's tags. So I could insert a little note and I could put the definition. I could put the term. And really, Tinkercad is just selecting basic shapes and dragging them and then resizing them. So the biggest part for anybody new to using 3D design is just that you're really looking at an object from like a length, width, and height. Most kids are very natural with Google Drawings and doing objects. So this is the same thing. It's only teaching them, to rotate your look. And with this little cube in the upper left, you can rotate top and bottom. You can zoom in and zoom out. And some, kind of fun sides with this type of project is it could be something, if you have a 3D printer, they could then export the job and actually print it. Or with Merge Cube, you can download the file and upload it so that a kid can actually like hold it in their hand, kind of looking at their objects. So if sub sortages are kind of crazy, right? So sometimes we're just pulled into a room. Hey, 7th period, need somebody, go. You walk in, there's nothing there. And then, any group of kids, if I say, well, what are you working on right now? And they have, Google Classroom has nothing. I say, how many of you have done Tinkercad? And like a few of them maybe. If we do a Tinkercad lesson, every kid is engaged, every kid's playing. I leave and say, like, I said, work with you. Like, when are you coming back? Like, they want more. Kids just are really natural with 3D creation. And so just in this example, it was, take 2 cells, form groups. One does animal cells, one does plant cells. They can then talk and compare. You could really take this idea in a lot of different directions. So this was for a teacher because they needed cells, but you could do any topic of 3D design. So whether we've got a 7th grade social studies class that's learning about Roman architecture. So instead of doing like a lesson where in one day they do Tinkercad, at the end of any lesson that ends early, 5 minutes early, 10 minutes early, they go back to this project, and throughout the entire unit, they're creating their own Roman architecture. And so at the end of the unit, we're gonna like post all the pictures on Google Forms, and they're gonna vote for the best one, and the best one's prize is we're gonna print their design. And so they're all into that. I sent them a little 10-minute video, or I hope I've got links all over the place, so I can't remember. So Tinkercad's website, I've got some resources on here about getting started. So like how to start with Tinkercad. I've got a little like 10-minute video for our kids that is on here. Really just, I don't need to be there. They can watch a 10-minute video with their teacher, or as a flip lesson before they come in, and then they just play. But the best way to learn is to play. So that's the little science part. Anybody else using Tinkercad with their students? They loving it like ours are? Any other good like extensions that you can share for Tinkercad?
We do a lot of story-based stuff.
Yes. Oh, good. Thank you for bringing that up.
So, like, if they're reading something in class, and most of the time they go to the teacher and be like, "Can I hop on?" And after you're done with XYZ, you can hop on.
Right, so, yeah, because CoSpaces, I used to love that when it was free, and now it's like kind of free, but CoSpaces is similar. You can drag and drop things in and create a scene, but it's really gotten expensive lately, right? And just like 5 licenses for $75.
Yeah, something like that.
Learned that from him last week.
Yeah.
And so, but like Tinkercad, totally free. You sign in with Google, and you could kind of create like a background. You can create a house, and you can add, a person. They've got characters. They've got kids can create a dog with shapes. So it just ties in a lot of other ideas. Paul, yeah.
With ancient history, ancient civilizations, they could be using Tinkercad and even code blocks part of Tinkercad to create things they would find at the dig site.
Oh yeah, that's awesome. I don't think there's CoSpaces I know has animation, like you can program it to like have the dog cross the street. I don't think Tinkercad has any sort of animation part of it, but maybe it's in the coding. Maybe there is something that we've never done, but
In the code blocks, you could make it, yes, you could make it all move. And code blocks is more the idea of design with repetition. So if you want to make like a base, you make something spiral
okay.
up and out, but then yeah, you could have it move. The whole thing. That's what code blocks is really built for 3D design where it's lots of repetition.
And I would say with the teachers I've worked with, the biggest thing I encourage them is to let the students get out in front and lead. Like the teacher doesn't have to learn Tinkercad. They have to give the students an opportunity to explore it. And so Tinkercad not only, has a dozen or hundreds of videos, but they've got an entire learning section that students can, click on a little section. So if I want to learn how to, let's just say, rotate an object, on the left, I actually get a tutorial that walks me through, okay, the first step to rotating is, and then you click through, and it takes them through like this exploratory tutorial. The teacher doesn't have to prep for it or be any part of it. They just have to provide that opportunity for their students, and the students can learn right through Tinkercad. So not even watching a video, but just step by step on the left. There's also like starter projects that students can jump right into. So they've got like learning section, they have lessons, they have projects, and if you really wanted to, you could actually connect a class through Google Classroom and kind of like bring the students under one organizational structure within Tinkercad. So that could be an entire presentation on its own. But I think for STEAM, it really fits because it's collaborative, problem-based. Students can take it in a lot of different ways. They can lead it. Okay. So a few more of our main ones. So Escape from the Heart.
Escape from the Heart, this was actually put together by our high school classroom technology integration specialist, which is Alex's cohort at the high school. She was working with the health class, and they came up with this digital breakout room. Before I forget, you can also do it physical. I don't know if you guys have ever seen the physical ones. This is directly from Breakout EDU. These are great. They have all kinds of programmable locks that you can change the code for. They have ones with letters and arrows and colors and all kinds of different things. If you want to look at these will be available to look at when we're done. The kids love these, and as we were actually putting this together, there was a social studies teacher who came in and actually used breakout boxes in the library, and the kids loved it. Although they did cheat at lunch. The kids after lunch came back asking questions like, how do you know to ask that question? Anyway, so what we're going to talk about today is a digital one, which is done through Google Forms. So Kathy worked with I think this was done for health, but it could be done for biology or anatomy or anything like that. This particular one, I've done this before for other things, like giving little directions, like, do you go north or south on this map kind of thing. But she designed this so students will be able to identify the parts of the heart. So this was all heart related, and her pillars were exploration, inquiry, experimentation, and authentic collaboration. So basically what she did is she created a Google form. Can you scroll down to the?
She have the link?
Yep, create. and escape room resources.
Yep, she put it all in the folder.
So the form over here is where the kid, that's actually like the paper and pencil where the kids would fill it out. And all the questions are tagged, so the kids have to get it correct to unlock it to go to the next question.
Yep, so they did alphabetical characters, numbers, and so in Google Forms, you can set like response validation, so it has to accept that character to move on. The one thing she did tell me is she kind of wishes that she didn't have them on 7 separate pages, because in a typical breakout room, you might not have to go step by step. Like in order to get to the second challenge in this example, they had to get the first one right. Where in other breakout, I mean, you could like, okay, let's work on this, and then let's work on this. And they could kind of separate and parse pieces out, but in her example, in this this one, it's all set up as like, get this right, you get to go to the next step. And she thinks maybe even putting those all on one page allows students to kind of work throughout the period and try to solve as many as they can rather than a progression.
So what's neat about this is, can we go to,
You want to go back to the,
yeah, I need to go to her, the Excel sheet down on the bottom.
yeah, that's right.
Okay, so the first question was right there in front of you. The rest of them she put in this Excel sheet. So she had a cryptogram, and then a color chart. So the kids would get the color chart 0 through 9, and then they would have to take those numbers and go back to the cryptogram and figure out what the message was. And that is related to one of the questions farther in the digital breakout. So that's a different page.
She has a crossword.
She's got a crossword puzzle where all the highlighted things go together, and you got to unscramble it. And you'll notice in the bottom, she has all the solutions to that too. Blood type pictures. It was funny because when I first saw this, I thought, oh, it's a picture. She must have used it for something. It's color coded. So you have to, whatever order they have to put them in, whatever clues they have, the colors are the thing that break the lockout. So you have to put the colors in the right order. And then the flow of blood. They have to identify how the blood flows through the heart. So I know this is high school and it's very high level, but you can do the same thing down on a much lower level. When I was teaching this originally years and years and years ago, I did one for directions for the littles about, okay, I want to go from school to the movie theater. How do I do that? Do I go north? Do I go south? How many blocks do I go? So you make a drawing in Google Slides or Google Drawings of a map, and they have to tell you north, south, east, or west. So they're learning their map skills with that kind of thing. You could also do it with math and, learning cash and things like that. There's a whole bunch of things that you can do. She's listed digital breakout resources here. They're all over the place. Mm-hmm. The kids like to make them too. So that's even a good thing at the end of a big unit or something like that. You can break the kids into groups and have them create a digital breakout room with 5 or 6 questions. And then the next day after they've created it, have the other teams in the classroom solve it all. So they're solving each other's questions. So that would be a good assessment to see who knows what and if they can answer the questions.
Yeah, I want to highlight one on here. So this was kind of at the bottom of her lesson plan. She has the creating room examples as a drive folder. And that's where you find this copy of the digital breakout rooms. But the one I was exploring that I just thought was so cool for kids to create with is called S-Notes, S-Notes. I'm not sure which of it would be. But you type in a word and let's make our own. And we'll just do, log in with
Anybody ever heard of S-Notes?
This doesn't have to be for a breakout room. Oops, and anyway.
Your clue becomes a picture.
And you rotate the object so you can actually see, you see it at different angles. Let me try it again with this.
The Wi-Fi filter might be why.
I think it might be. So, but it's maybe I'll just let the video do its job, since it probably would do a better job of explaining than I would anyway. 30 seconds, so give us a breather. One word, it could be a sentence, and with every rotation of the, not the device necessarily, but manipulation with the mouse, they discover the different objects or the different words. So we've had some kids had some fun with that part.
Question?
Two things real quick. The shared resources aren't shared outside your district.
Thank you.
With the breakout room using forms, if you want to get started playing with it, the real key is when you use a form, when you're creating a question, is what they call the response validation tool. That's how you choose whether they're going to be able to see or proceed any further. You can set that based on either the exact answer or some different criteria you want.
Sorry. Yes, Paul.
Does Breakout EDU still have free digital breakouts?
As far as I know, they still have some that are free, but there's a lot that are with a paid subscription for both digital and this. However, there's a lot of digital non-breakout EDU things out there.
Okay.
And I'm seeing all of these in the folder as available for anybody with a link.
It's saying that it's not in the owner's organization.
I'll have to do some exploring.
Yeah.
I'm sorry about that.
That's no problem.
We can link them
Any
directly
other
to the
questions
slide.
about breakout boxes, physical or digital? If you're working on one and you get stuck, you can always give me a call and I will be happy to help you with it.
Toolboxes work fine for
Well,
building your.
I have to say, I do have a couple toolboxes. They're not as good as the actual breakout ones because they're much harder to adjust the locks on them. I've had to throw many locks out that were supposed to be adjustable that I can't adjust. But if you are doing the physical one, you have to be very careful with the locks and you have to know what the last thing was set to. So if you get that far and you want to do these, work with your media specialist or give me a call and I will help you through it, because if they don't give you the code to unlock them and 3 months later the next person goes to use it, you can't reset it because you don't remember what the code is and you're in a pickle. So
Very organized.
yes, you have to be very organized and detailed. Yes.
All right, and so Ellen Allerton's our high school media specialist. This is kind of the last big one we want to share, and then we've got some little things. But so her final one, or our final one, I should say, is live from the scene, a video report. And so you could do this with any type of topics or books. We had just mentioned like co-spaces and creating like a virtual world. Well, this is using just the built-in Chromebook camera and some really easy tools to have students create video, and as little as, the second, third graders. And so we, way back when video was very accessible, it was a great tool for a student Chromebook. And then maybe else, we used it so much for free, they blocked our domain and said, you have to pay for it. And so we did, we've got like a small license, but it's not WeVideo I want to kind of mention, it's Canva. And so Canva, a lot of people know for creating like great graphics that are PDF style or social media. And recently Canva has a video creator that's very, very simple to use. So I'll show that in a moment. But basically the goal of this lesson was live from the scene. So they're gonna cover a theme or a time and place, a character, and they're gonna report on it. They could, we don't use green screens very often, but sometimes we'll have students stand in front of a projector where the projector has the picture, and then they just stand in front of it and it creates that on the scene reporting style. And it included all of what the pillars we were looking for exploration and inquiry and problem solving and collaboration. We recommend Canva for video. I've also used this with students in a very basic form. It's called School Video Recorder, or this is a different one, but really a lot of these apps, they just use your webcam, you hit record, and then you actually have a file. So kind of like a live read. If you don't want to do like a Flipgrid, or you could use the built-in Chromebook camera. There's some steps to it though, right? You download it, You have to put it in Drive, you have to share it. Some of these apps kind of take care of that for you. If you have a partner in your building that actually has a quality equipment camera, you could partner with them and bring, high school kids down, or you could have your middle school video, announcement team kind of show the kids how to use it. I think though, if you haven't looked at Canva, that's what I wanted to spend most of my time kind of showing for this lesson. So how many people use Canva already? Probably quite a few. Has anybody used the video part yet? Yay, something new. So you can, with Canva, it's Google sign in enabled, so students can sign in, it saves all their work. You can import Google Classroom and kind of manage through that as well. So we're probably used to this up here at the top. There's all sorts of templates and banners. They've added video. And so if we go to video, we've got easy to assemble video options, including messages, mobile videos. I'll just do, a standard video. But like the things we expect from Canva, templates and drag and drop and easy to use, and the slide style on the bottom, this actually creates the video in like a slide format, but merges it all together as one solid video. So in the left, if I go uploads, they have record yourself as an upload option. And so it will record in like a smaller frame. I think you can even make this bigger now or later, but if we just do a quick style recording just to demonstrate how easy it is to use, so the students can, have a script on their screen, which I really like. You don't just want to record and say go and have kids like fumbling through like I am. They want to have a script ready. They can actually prep and do the writing process and have it on their screen, and they can speak directly into the camera like a news anchor is. They're doing the same exact thing. So when they're done with the built-in recorder, they hit save, and actually just becomes that first slide. And so I can drag that picture. If I wanted it to be full screen, I could make it full screen. If I wanted to kind of have it as like a picture-in-picture, or if I wanted to include text, just like Canva always allows you to do, you can put text right over top of pictures. So we can do that with a video now. And we've got like these separate scenes. So if I had a multi-person, or if we had group work and we each had a part, it still has the share option. My partner can do the same thing. They could add their own page. They could record their own video. So just enough. Oh, you know what? I got some old ones here. These are just quality. So we'll use these. We'll just drop that one in. And then if I hit the preview.
Testing Canva.
Hey. Oh, I'll just go to here. Fast forward. Just the way a video would play.
How easy it is to use, so the students can
the first video,
have a script on their screen, which I really like.
If you wanted,
you don't just want to record and say go and have kids like fumbling through like I am.
Come on.
They want to have a script ready. They can actually prep and do the writing process and have it on their screen, and they can speak directly into the camera like a news anchor is. They're doing the same exact thing.
Timing. There you go. So the second one can
Testing
just kind of play right after. There's a little break, but you can add a transition in between. And the reason we kept pushing video was like, well, we want them to record, but we want them to learn how to edit. We want them to add sound and audio. So there is like, right click. Right click. There is a trim. Maybe I'm hiding it from myself. Let me see. Thought it was. Anybody see it? I can assure you, kids can trim a clip. I just don't see it at the moment where I'm at. There we go. I don't know why it's in the 3 dots over here. So I've got my playhead about 10 seconds. If I want to teach my kids editing, we can split that clip. We can just remove an entire section. So they can really, fumble through some things, cut off the beginning or the end, or even a section in the middle. There were also some other features in there. There was the transition. I can just hit the plus sign and decide what types of things I want in between. I can add a page in between. I can add a transition in between so it slides or it dissolves. And students can really easily, like with little teacher setup or prep, this is something that's very intuitive for kids. They just jump right in, they can design, and then at the end, if you're using like with Google Classroom, they can share it right to Google Classroom and as an assignment. They can click a share button and change who can see it and share the link. So Andrew, sorry.
With the add page, can that be adding video or an image?
Yeah.
Like you're made a poster on Canva or something, you can add that in?
Yep. So you can, I can still go elements. I can still do,
graphics, I can still do photos, I can do anything of the other Canvas stuff. It's just that now when I hit that play button, it's gonna go from my video Record and say go.
into the static image or page. And so we've had kids that do like the, live reporting from, and they put like the fake news source and their name or, location or date. And they've had a really good time with it.
Can you add audio now on that too? If we're looking at the means, you can have
Mm.
spoken words.
How easy it is to use,
Alright.
so the student.
Yes, I believe so. There is an audio portion. I think that has a little bit of a separate, I'm trying to find a different view. There we go. So you can drag your media in, and then I think you can just put it on the slide. I'm pretty sure it might not play at the bottom like an overlay. I think it becomes like part of the static page. So I would highly encourage, Canva completely free too. So we video, our license didn't cost a ton because we only got 50 and we could rotate kids in. Every kid in our district can use Canva on the same day, and they can have some sort of video editing, even if it's entry level. So that way, some kids might take a WeVideo license to do a separate project that needs more advanced features. And I think if we scroll to the bottom, some variations, you could do book trailers, book talks, talk show interview, vignette of a scene from a book. The kids love to dress up and, whether it's making Abraham Lincoln hats or, George Washington curls, even our 8th graders still get into that, which is nice to see. All right. Anything for that one? Okay.
What's the, is there a limit to how many?
No,
minutes
actually, there's
video?
not. And that was the other thing. WeVideo, you get like 5 minutes a month in the free account, I think, published. In Canva, I don't think there's a limit to how many minutes one can be or how many you can create. I haven't seen any limit caps to that.
So it's free for educators, but you did buy like 50 licenses for students.
No, so that was WeVideo. So with Canva,
Canvas.
Canva's free. What I would do if you haven't done it yet, I would Google search Canva for education.
Yeah.
What we had to do is just submit our domain, probably address, contact information, and they kind of slid our domain into that education. Yeah. Yeah, and you can,
We're good with Canvas. That's
Yeah.
why I was like, you bought licenses?
No,
You
no.
have to?
You'll
Okay,
know
that
when,
makes sense.
you'll know when it goes through because like on the left-hand side, it'll tell you you're in the school district.
Yeah.
And if you wanna open your class, you have another step underneath there to click on.
I will say I found this a little clunky. It's not a perfect integration with Google. And like if I were to drop down over here, you can see we have 402 educators in this group. But then I also have like, the one I used to have by myself. So sometimes I find myself switching between, there is a little bit to do, but I will say this, and I can get you some contact information. We reached out to Canva because we saw an ad or something, but they have, a Canva ambassador. They pay somebody, an educator. They met with us for an hour, kind of walked us through some of the things we didn't maybe know about Canva for free. And so, WeVideo, I struggle to get an email response and we pay for it. Canva, they, hey, you want to meet at 1 o'clock? We clicked on this calendar, we signed up and we met with her for an hour. So they're very accessible to helping, run through what you're looking to do or just give you a tutorial better than I did. Okay, so we've only got about 10 to 15 minutes left. We definitely wanted to go back to our Padlet. I did see there was a couple things in there, so thank you for adding. So the market day, we heard about that earlier. You posted about it. You want to share anything that we can all gather or like take
We're
away?
like in the middle of it now, so, but we did it last year, it was very small scale last year, so we couldn't invite other people in. So the 3rd grade reading social studies teacher teaches about economics. So that's a whole lesson she does, and then they basically make a business. And they have to, from scratch, here's your portfolio, which is 3rd grade, so we make the portfolio and we it's like self-guided, try to give them what they need. But there's blank slides at the end. So, we tried to, last year we did no services just because of the year.
Yeah.
This year, we're still sticking with the goods right now. Next year, we might include the services,
Oh,
but
cool.
they wanna go clean, they wanna make a cleaning business, but it's so touch and go right now, so we stuck with goods this year also, so.
And I feel like walk up and down the hallways, you probably see STEAM activities and teachers say, no, I've never done a STEAM lesson. Well, it's just the mindset and really the let the kids lead part. If anybody wants to talk on that,
That's
but,
mine too.
oh yeah,
like,
honestly,
Once they know the skills, they're gonna tell their teacher, well, can I show my knowledge this way and not your way? Cause they don't wanna be writing papers every day, all day. Like, can I do a video? I'm showing the knowledge, like, you're grading me on the same thing, and some teachers are like, absolutely not.
right,
And then you have some that are right on the verge, they don't wanna do it, but if you're gonna submit it and I can watch it, then I don't have to read a paper, so.
yeah,
They're at that point,
Yeah.
you know what you're doing, and they're like, yeah, I know what I'm doing, like,
right. Yeah, we've got
we've done clips or like stuff like that, and the teacher's like, as long as you show like everything you know, they're fine.
exactly. And I don't know, when I was grading, I would be tired of grading the same project over and over and over and over again. Cause they ended up kind of being all similar, cause everybody's using the same thing, but student choice and letting students lead. Here's what I wanna see. You guys, here's some things you could do. You might have some other ones. We had kids bring in their own iPads and show, Minecraft. They did the, like a building, which was the cell and, I don't know, and that's kind of like these, so a couple other ideas, we didn't know how much time we would take up with the main ones, but sat in a session earlier, we talked about virtual 360 schools allows you as a student or a teacher with your Google account to sign up. And so they have a world map. And what this has is 360-degree pictures in those locations. So if I clicked on world map, I could go anywhere in the world. Now, these are all stock photos that people have uploaded, and they said, we can use this for 360-degree schools. But what I can do is I can create a guided tour of what's on here. So as a student researching a foreign country, I could use this. It's kind of neat because you could, theoretically put it in a goggle and be virtual. But even better, if I create my own guided tour and I use theirs, I could add tags. Just like text boxes, I could actually add quiz questions. So the teacher can add quiz questions to the 360-degree picture, but so can students. And those can be easily shared. So if you haven't seen 360-degree schools, it's a really, again, there's your own 360 camera and all the editing. This is just, they've already got the pictures. You just sign in and you can create on top of what they provide.
And you said there was a session on that, right?
So there was a session this morning on VR in the classroom that covered.
That recorded and gonna be.
Oh, yeah, good.
Everything is
Okay, so
Good
There
plug.
we are. We all wanna go see that.
Good plug. And the other one, very similar to Canva with, students doing a news report. But I just thought of this yesterday and I just said I had to add it because students creating stop motion videos, there's some different ones, but like this student just, it was music class, music creation. So they just untwisted light bulbs. And the stop motion creator is just like taking pictures one at a time. And so it doesn't have to be for music, it doesn't have to be for specific need, but there's a lot of tools. I listed a couple on this page. This one we had a lot of success for, and for some reason yesterday our new Chromebooks didn't like to save it and upload it again. So we kind of pivoted quick and found one called Cloud Stop Motion, and it's gonna look like a robust editor. It allows you, same thing, you just, snap a photo, and then it's playback, and it just stitches them together as like that stop motion. And this one, you can insert audio, you can do a voiceover or music, you could also insert text, and students can very simply create and share an MP4 that's, using what they already have. So that one was called it's called Cloud Stop Motion. Right. We used to use this one all the time. It scared me yesterday that our new Chromebooks weren't loading. So we found one that was cloud-based rather than app-related. This is another one. Kids can clap and it takes the picture, so that's nice for littles. It didn't have sound, like you couldn't insert music in the background. And then if you know Jake Miller, or if you don't, check him out. But Google Slides, students love creating like stop motion Google Slides just by moving the sun that sets or an animation. It's a very easy way to get kids started with stop motion. Yeah, oh, sorry.
I added one of the things to the Padlet.
Oh, thank you. There we go.
I have a whole webpage called GT Learn, and one of the pages is on radio technology, and this is the kids' radio zone. There's also one for teachers. Also, at the top tab, there's a DIY zone that has DIY type things. But this is all curriculum based on radio, electronics. And I also have an opportunity, if you have any teachers that are really interested in radio technology in the classroom, I have a free training opportunity for this summer. Well, actually 4 opportunities. It's a national program, and if they're interested, I can provide them information on that.
Thank you so much for sharing. The last thing we had, so with our presentation, we kind of outlined what each of those pillars meant. We made a little video to kick off STEAM Day. We don't need to play it, but this is the sort of the collection that we started for Maker in our middle schools that we think could very easily relate into a lot of different STEAM activities. So if you're, if your school's collecting, it'd be good to have a resource for teachers that see what's available and that you can kind of, do we send this out? We should send it out more, but like a reminder, here's what's down here. These are the things. We put a little folder so that, if they're interested in the button maker, and I'm sorry, it may not be open, but just the idea is have these, if you've got resources, if you're a media specialist or tech coordinator integration, have areas for your teachers just to remember what's down there that they can use for all sorts of STEAM and maker projects. We just wanted to show, or at least give you some ideas of what we were using. And that's kind of about it. I'm tired. Is the time change hitting anybody else? Oh, man. Or my kids, jeez.
Questions, comments, ideas?
Yeah, please, what did we miss? Like, what's the elephant in the room that the STEAM people are thinking this should be added?
Were you looking for something that we didn't hit on? Maybe we can.
More of the A.
The arts.
More of the arts.
We took like the performing arts as in like the adding songs.
Yeah, that motion would.
Yeah.
Would fit.
Yeah.
That's fine.
In the past, our teacher has absconded with the button makers.
Oh,
They've lived in their rooms for a while. They've done a lot with 3D printing.
They have actually. Yeah.
What else? Those were the big things. You can do Legos. We actually, I don't think that was on there, but we just got some Rubik's Cube sets. You can do pixelated art with Rubik's Cubes, which is really cool.
Pixel art is big right now with spreadsheets.
Yeah, there you go. Anthony, do you have a pixel art spreadsheet?
Actually, if you go to Eric's website,
Yeah, he does.
He has one of the ones that we created before.
Yeah, that's a good idea.
But by the way, just as a mention, if you're not doing spreadsheets, K through 12, you're missing a great opportunity to really leverage any type of curriculum, including STEAM. And Eric has a great bunch of ideas. I have a great bunch of ideas on both of our websites. And a lot of people think that spreadsheets are just for numbers. I did a presentation earlier today. You can watch the recording on spreadsheets without numbers to be able to sort, filter, and analyze data. So like if you have a list of all the planets, you can have all the characteristics across the top, and you can do any kind of filtering and sorting on them. And it's really that other tool, because a lot of times we do science projects with kids, but we don't have them documented. We don't have them analyze it, and we don't have them go further into it. And that's a great way to do that sort of thing.
Good. I visit our Tiger Times and we do graphing of our grades, right? So, when I teach, we would every week, we, do a bar graph to kind of integrate math into grades. But so now we use Progress Book and we split screen, and they've got their grades on one side, and every couple of weeks they just put in the new grade so that we can graph it and actually visualize their progress. And with conditional formatting, they can set a goal, and if it drops below that goal, we have it change colors. And so they don't love it, but they're getting some good spreadsheet work that they can maybe carry on.
When they get a job, and they need to
A lot of people are afraid of spreadsheets, but once you get into them, they're a lot of fun. That's like first thing I try to use. Does this work in a spreadsheet? Because it's just so versatile.
And if you go to Eric's site, he has a great page called Spreadsheets Across the Curriculum. that we put together years ago. He's been adding stuff to it.
Control Alt Achieve, right?
Control Achieve.
I'm sure everybody knows Eric. I thought our room would be empty because we were right next to Eric.
Yeah.
He's got like 4 sessions.
You know, that's why. Catch him later, or the recording. Well, thank you guys very much for hearing us out and sharing your information and knowledge. We really appreciate it.
If you come up with any questions, you know, like when you're driving home tonight, say, oh, I should have asked that, feel free to reach out, we'll be more than happy to talk you through it or help you find stuff.
Thank you.